But that's a really tight range as well, isn't it? 99 to 93. That is 6 points. Really consistent, really reliable.
170.
And that is really, really good.
Require 147.
We've had highlights already
97.
in match number 1.
Marvin, you require
3 180s,
32.
a 170 approach. And are we about to get a 13-dart leg?
That's the cha-cha-cha across the hockey and
on a third
lovely
leg,
into the double eight. He was just trying to avoid those flights that were kind of blocking his dart sit up there and a little bit in the way.
Adam, you require 48.
Things are getting tight, but double eight is found with an accidental double-double, and we are tied at 2-2.
Fifth leg.
I think he enjoyed that. That was really funny. For 4-2, and to make Rollands and Paxton real outsiders to qualify for Champions Night now, he eyes up 32 and takes it.
And the match, Marvin van
That was a
Velsen.
fabulous first game in Group B here in Champions Week. They knocked each other on the ropes, off the ropes, all around the hockey. An exhibition of brilliant scoring at times, backing each other up. But unfortunately, the gamble in leg 6 for Paxton didn't pay off, and Van Velsen was in position to get things done. So, after his 3 180s and 31% on the doubles, we'll give him a little bit of a roundup to that one. He goes to 6 points with Steve West and Tom Sykes. And in the next game, we are going to see Sykes against the darts against Richard Eric Rollands. He broke in the first leg. Oh, that's a good miss. Now he's got options. Double 16.
Game shot.
That is a great shot. Great shot. For only the second time in this group. The only other person to beat him was Steve West in game 2 yesterday. Does he lose his first game again? He does.
And the match, Richard
That was a
Rollands.
great last leg from Richard Rollands. And he does what the Pac-Man couldn't at the start of Friday night. He gets a win and is now within 2 points of the top 3. So Tom Sykes loses, but still has an advantageous position over Richard. And he's going to have to utilise his 3 games remaining to try and bridge that gap between himself and Sykes. But now it's time to say hello to the 5-time weekly champion, that is Steve West. He's up against the Pac-Man, who's only got 3 games left to try and make his way to the top 3. And another. That'll do.
On the first leg, Adam Paxton.
Pinpoint double top, double top.
One.
Just goes to
Adam,
show
you
that when he
require
has darts made, he
120.
knows exactly what he wants. Ladder climbing time. There it is.
On the third leg, Adam Paxton.
This is a clinic on tops from Paxton. He's actually hit it
Fourth
3
leg,
times
it's
for a
Steve
2-1
to
lead.
first.
I fancy even more, though, the prospect that after 3 games played, albeit with Paxton having completed 2 games tonight,
108.
we could have 2 players on 4 points and 3 players on 6 points. But even with a win,
98.
Paxton would
Steve, you
still
require 136.
be in the bottom position, having played 1 more game. That's why he's in so much trouble. And he hasn't won this game yet because Steve West, with that 136, has just found a worldie of a finish.
He knows what's going to happen here.
It's just happened.
And the match, Adam Paxton.
And Adam wins the match. But what I will say is Steve West is still top of the table. The predicament for Paxton hasn't really changed. That's a vital win for him, but he's still 5th. And after 3 games completed and seeing that 4-3 result for the Pac-Man, very little has changed in the table. But what we now have are 3 players on 6 points and 2 players on 4 It couldn't be tighter.
Deflection that goes in. Marvin had a tribe here as well when he won his week. Double 19. Wow, Marv. What a save of throw that is.
Third leg, it's Tom to throw first. Game on.
And when he turns around, his first thought is, don't you dare.
Make sure of the big 18. Clever move.
Game's on the fourth leg. Marvin Van
Sweet
Velsen.
as. Just will not go away.
Never know,
Tommy
Tom.
requires 72.
But what we do know is you want to get this. Double top. Sykes wins.
And the match. Tom
And that
Sykes.
means a lot to him because he's now one win away from qualifying for his second Champions Night. He's had to do everything the hard way tonight. But as far as his record against Marvin Van Velsen is concerned, it's healthy. It's 4-1 for the week. And he has not lost to Marvin since Monday. 4 wins in a row. It's got him to 8 points in the top of the table in Group B. And Marvin will have to settle for the same record after 2 games as Tom. 1 win, 1 loss. And now we go to Game 5, where it's time for Steve West to practice patience against Richard Rollands. Can he find the treble 20? There's your answer. Double 16.
Game shot.
We're going the distance.
Richard Rollands.
Things are getting very, very tight now. Stevie Wilson
Stevie
special.
require 88.
Is this a Steve West special?
Game shot and the match. Steve West.
It was a long game. It was almost 24 minutes. And Steve West runs the gauntlet against Richard Rollands and wins. A very different game to what they had in Game 6 last night, where West won by 4 legs to 0. This time, it is 7 legs, and West does prevail. And he goes back to the top of the table, and Rollands stays in 4th. There are many things to talk about when we come back, but we are now at the 75% point of Group B.
Tom, you require 8.
I think we see from the reaction what he thought of that.
Twos.
4.
Multiple visits now
Adam,
for
you
Sykes.
require 32.
Paxton somehow is pulling a duff. He's still alive.
$16.
But it's just inching
Tom,
away
you
from him.
require 4.
He wanted that so bad, didn't he?
Tom Sykes has qualified for the Champions Night. And by virtue of that one, he has sent the Pac-Man gone. It's disappointing to see Adam leave us. He has got one more game to go against Richard Rollands, who was definitely going to have to win that match to stand any chance. But in Group B, if you get the double figures with this dynamic, you are safe. And Tom Sykes is going to his second Champions Night. That dream of going one better, it's still alive. So when we come back, Steve West now has his chance of getting through at the expense of Marvin Van Velsen for now. You come up against more people like Marvin, looking at 136 and double 8. Oh, it's big.
Third leg, Marvin Van Velsen.
He needs one more leg to qualify, and West has just been hit with a hammer.
Fourth leg, it's Marvin to throw first. Game on.
West is thinking right now, double 16.
Game shot.
We have
And
another
the
name
match,
in
Marvin
Saturday
Van
night,
Velsen.
and his name is Marvin Van Velsen. Jimmy Van Schie has got another Dutchman to talk to on Saturday night, and this place is going to be bananas for Marvin and for Jimmy come 7:30 Saturday night. West has still got more work to do to get there. He may just get there still, but Marvin is definitely there, and he's made his way there with Tom Sykes this evening. Without further ado, we'll take a break after that 4-0 victory for Marvin, and when we come back, it's Paxton against Rollands. Second warning, loss of leg. Then again, it's loss of match.
Ah.
Oh boy,
On the fifth leg,
big
Adam
news
Paxton.
at the Motor Super Series. And I think Richard Eric Rollands knows the score. The writing's on the
Sixth
wall.
leg,
Pac-Man
it's
is
Adam to
3-2 up.
first.
And Steve West
on.
is going to Champions Night. Doesn't get the bull this time. He did it a 1-4-2
62.
yesterday.
Adam, you require 18.
It's double 9. Other side.
Game shot and the match.
And that is a parting shot from Paxton. He understands that he has actually knocked Welshie out and he's got a game to spare. But we will see Adam Paxton again. We will welcome him with open arms. He's not going to make Champions Night in his debut campaign, but he has left an indelible mark in this week. And look at that for a parting shot, 98.31. I make that the best performance of the night, and the doubles are just as good at 67%. That 1-2-1 checkout, funnily enough, that was the shot that sent West into Champions Night. And you're going to see West next. What's his parting shot going to be in the early hours of Saturday? He's up against Tom Sykes. It is to see who wins the group potentially.
Not a second-hand board you would like to purchase. Had a fair bit of wear, hasn't it?
180.
Just a small matter of 3 180s in this game so far. It's only leg 3.
100.
I'm sure we're going to get more. The averages have capitulated, really, because of the missed starts at double. I told you we were going to get more.
180. Tommy require 140.
It would be so funny if we go from having a 23 dart leg
100.
to an 11 dart leg.
Require 56.
Let's find out.
Game shot on the third leg.
All he can
Steve
do is
West.
laugh sometimes. A return to quality from Steve West.
Tommy requires 70.
West sets it up with the last. It's all about this double 16 now for Sykes. And
38.
he's wired it once
Steve, you
more.
require 36.
And a wry smile on his face. I think he knows the writing's on the wall.
Game shot and the match.
And the
Steve
writing
West.
on the wall, indeed, was written by Steve West. 4-1 win for him. Not the most classic of games, but it's job done for those two. You will see them on Saturday night. Steve West 86-3-1, 4 from 18. Possibly the reason why the average dropped off a little bit. Sykes 1 from 13. He'll need to sharpen up on that a little bit. But we are looking forward now to a superb finals night here on Saturday night for Champions Week. As we head to a short break, and when we return, we will return with our last match of the evening, where Marvin Van Velzen takes on Richard Rollands.
Also be landed
Richard,
by
you require
Welshie.
49.
This is to be 4th in the table. And for West to win the group.
Game
Rollands
shot
gets
and the match.
4th.
Richard Rollands.
Marvin Van Velzen is going to have to settle for 3rd space in the group. Sykes will be 2nd. And Steve West, who admitted to us that he didn't even play that well tonight. He has won Group B. And it looks like Marvin Van Velzen and Steve West are on a collision course in a group on Saturday night as well. Without further ado, after what's been a brilliant Champions Week, throughout the week, we have seen ups and downs. We'll have one more chat, and then after that, you all have our permission to be very, very excited for Champions Night.
Well, that's it. The end of the evening and the end of qualifying for Champions Night. I'm going to chat with Paul and Scott in a moment, but let's just reflect on the results from tonight. And it's an interesting pattern, isn't it? The first 5 matches going with the throw, the final 5 going against the throw, and every player winning a couple of games in this group.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting group, ups and downs, but Scott called it. As soon as we went into game number 9, hang on a minute, there's a bit of a pattern here. And the pattern, it started yesterday with the first 5 games being won by the person who had the darts. Everybody had 2 points after 5 games. And then it actually follows that here on the second night. But things have been very, very odd. Ups, downs, maybes. And West admitting that he didn't play that great, but has won the group.
Yeah, West was best in the end, Scott. He didn't seem overly thrilled to have made it, but he kind of is using what's happened recently as a reason not to put pressure on himself, because had none of that happened, he would have probably been favourite to win this week. Do you think that's a wise little ploy from him?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can deflect some of the ways that players are going to play against you and say, well, I'm not playing well anyway, I'm not really doing it. It does deflect what's going on. And, wise move from him, I think. And, some people don't get away with it, but he'll get away with that. And I know he's trying to get himself under the radar a bit. He'll be expecting a bit more of himself tomorrow night for sure.
Some story, isn't it? Wedding 3 Saturdays ago, 2 Saturdays ago, qualifying for Champions Night. Could be winning it on that stage after what's been a hellish sort of 12 months for Steve West.
Yeah, I think what you've got to do is you've got to remember that the Saturdays over the last 3 or 4 have been memorable for him. But think about the 12 to 15 Saturdays before that. Sitting on the sofa, not able to throw, not able to socialise with friends the way he wants, not able to drive. It's something that relaxes him. And he had to sit there and watch everybody else succeed. And now he's got a chance to succeed at the top level at this part of the game. But I think what Scott said is very apt. He's trying to be under the radar. I think if we look at the way he played in week 11, it was around day 3 where he really started to kick in. So day 3 of the week is tomorrow. So that would be a pretty good time to kick in.
Interesting point. Another player who's got an interesting week is Tom Sykes, because he's back at Champions Night and he could be just the second player ever to make it to a grand final. How many times do we say this? Only Luke Littler, but only Luke Littler has managed to do that before.
Yeah, and I think that Tom's in a great mind space. My fear for him is that we've seen so far this week his Achilles heel is playing those slower players, and should Derek Colson be in his way at any point, I think that could be a stumbling block for him. But you've got to find out about yourself, and there's no better place to do that than here at the Super Series in the Live Lounge, Champions Week. Who wouldn't want to be there? You'd have to eradicate all those negative thoughts and be positive, and know that if you get 4 games right tomorrow night, then it could all be yours.
And that's the thing, isn't it? All the players have done that before on a Saturday night. Marvin van Velzen, one of the players that's really emerged in this series.
That's the thing about it, isn't it? It's not a different stadium. It's not like the Champions League where they have to go to somewhere neutral to play another team. It's the same hockey. It's the same type of dartboard. You're holding the same equipment on the whole, and you just have to replicate the good bits and try and eradicate the bad bits. Do the right things at the right times, and great things are possible. They know how to do it. It's just the calibre of the field is probably just a little bit better.
Dart players are repetitive, so they've had that success there on that stage. And those 6 guys will do exactly the same. They will prepare in exactly the same way. They're probably staying in exactly the same places as when they won. We're not difficult to work out, dart players. We are pretty repetitive.
Right, let's show you the table at the end of this evening's action just to dot the I's and cross the T's. Steve West, top of it on 10 points, along with Tom Sykes and Marvin van Velzen. They were the 3 that were in those positions coming into tonight. Just a quick question on this, Paul, because have we seen, even though Friday is indeed deadline day, have we seen in both groups the importance of actually doing well on Thursday? Because we've seen the players in the provisional places carry that through in the end.
Yes, we have. And I've got to applaud those people, because I hammer the drum for there's no defence in darts all the time. But the fact remains that Coulson, Van Schie and the 3 from tonight defended their positions. I think maybe the only person who was feeling slightly deflated tonight is Marvin, because he was within 1 leg of winning the group as opposed to being in 3rd. It just so happens that I don't think it changes his position in groups when it comes to Saturday night anyway. It just changes the amount of recompense that he gets for where he finished in the group.
Yeah, well, we're going to show you those groups. First of all, here is the lineup for finals night on Saturday. So Connor Scott, who won Group A earlier in the week, Tom Sykes, Marvin Van Velzen and Steve West, who you've seen qualify this evening, and Derek Coulson and Jimmy Van Ski, who made it this afternoon. And here, for the first time, are the groups for Champions Night. Connor Scott, Tom Sykes, Jimmy Van Ski, wow. Steve West, Derek Coulson and Marvin Van Velzen in Group 2. Initial thoughts first from you, Scott.
Group 1, loaded. That's the thing that I look out there and think, whew, I don't even want to be marking that group.
Paul?
Group 1, 9-dart shootout, please. That would be fun. But I think Marvin is going to be very happy with his group. I think he'll be happy to play against Derek. Judging by his results against West the last couple of nights, I think he'll be happy with that. So watch out for Marvin.
We have never had a 9-dart shootout on a Champions Night. We've never had a 9-dart finish on any Saturday night. It's been one of those weeks where we've seen really high standards in odd games. There's been full days where it's been a fantastic standard, and we've had darting drama. Do you think we're going to get the finale we deserve?
I see no reason why not. I think we've got guys here that are going to really push one another. They're going to respond to good play. They're not going to run away. And that's when you get those sorts of things happening, isn't it? So, hey, look, the 6 we've got here, why not? Why on earth not?
Sykes against Scott. That is a fixture. We talked earlier in the week with yourself, Henry, and with Scott over the last couple of days. That is a fixture that has been going on for the last few weeks. Challenge Tour here at the Super Series as well. We don't know what the final's going to be. Whatever the mix is, there's going to be a story. But I'm just so glad that we've got enough time to talk about everything in the lead up, because there's so much expectation on everybody's shoulders. When it comes to Connor, he just can't wait to get back here. If you opened the door right now, Connor would want to come in and practice for the next 16 hours. But he's going to have to wait.
Certainly is right. Final thing to do tonight, and I want a 2-word or possibly 3-word answer from each of you. Who wins it? Who takes the title?
I'm going to stick with Tom Sykes, I am.
Bit more than 2 or 3 words, but go on.
Connor Scott still.
There we go. They have spoken. Thank you for your company this week. We will do it all again tomorrow. It is indeed Champions Night coming your way. It gets underway from 7:30 p.m. UK time, live here on the Modus Super Series YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed. You've clicked that notification bell, because this is going to be unmissable.